Hello and welcome to Bendy, a podcast about being flexible in all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young, and I'm one of your classical, abstract hosts. Joining me as always is our other classical and abstract host, Beth Martin. Beth, a pleasure as always. What's the crack?
Okay, so I know I've been talking about this forever and complaining about it forever, but I finally went to a yoga class with a friend that I made all by myself.
This is great news all around.
I know.
Tell me more.
So, she's like, I'm trying to find my community here, and it's been harder than I had anticipated, just because of who I am as a human being, which is fine. I take the blame. Yeah. But there's this cool lady. She's like an attorney. She does, and she's like really just sweet and kind and nice. And we've been just kind of dancing around the idea of a friendship. And she's shy. I'm shy now too. I don't know why. But she was like, hey, come to this yoga studio. And I was like, oh, that'd be really cool. But I haven't been feeling well. And then she was like, there's a candlelight yoga class. And I was like, oh man, I could go nap for an hour, right?
Yep.
So do some yin yoga. And so I finally, I don't know if it's agoraphobia, but fear of leaving the house. I'm fine when I travel, but unless I really have to leave the house, I don't really like doing that. Sure. I take the dog for walks, or I go to pick up the kids. I'm in the PTA, do the meetings, or whatever. But I've just been so I don't know, when hedgehogs curl up in a ball, or armadillos. That's just been me. So my therapist was like, you need to start being brave and reaching out to people, other than Andy.
He's too far away.
He's too far away, right? And you've got friends that you talk to over Zoom all the time, but that's you need to start to make some friends and find your community. So I went to the studio. Or I was like, yeah, this is the night. I paid the money. She was like, cool, let's do it. The studio was I walked in and I was like, oh, thank God. It had this big mural with astrology markings, nice. And they were burning Nag Champa, and I was like, okay, this I can do. And it was just I had forgotten. The last yoga class I took was you taught me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, it's been almost a year of me
That's
talking about
doing
this. So I did it. It was great. The people were kind. I'm going to go back and do it again. And I don't know why it's so hard for me to go and do things, but I did it and I feel really good about it. So
good for you. No, that's huge and that's fantastic. And I'm really pleased because it is tough. It's tough, and especially it's tough to go with new people and go to new places.
Yeah.
It is, because you really don't know what you're going to expect. Is it bad that, as you started describing it and you talked about seeing this mural, part of me was hoping that you were going to say, and there was a bald eagle, and there was
right?
an American flag.
That's what I'm used to.
It's true. It's yes, this is the kind of yoga I can get behind.
That's right. There's so many American flags that not seeing one is weird, right?
That's true. So, whoa! Where's the American?
I know.
Are you a patriot?
No, it's every business has a flag. It's the neighbors all have flags. It's it's a thing. Some of them have flag poles, and they raise and lower the flag every day.
That's
this is something out of Mary Poppins. Yeah,
it's a cult. It is something in Mary Poppins. But if you do it, you're an Americanist, and you do it, you're one of the cool ones.
Yeah. We put it up for the 4th of July.
Yeah. I feel obviously it has a bit of a spiky legacy in this country because it's it represents one particular side of a conflict. So I still think that probably it would be a rarity to see some. I don't know if that's true. I suppose it depends where you are in England. A rarity to see the Union Jack flowing that much, but it's just such a core part of American culture. It's interesting. But I love it. I love that you were getting out and you were going to yoga classes.
I know.
And it's also just nice being. It's a good environment to be in, I think, as
I
well.
literally
In terms of like,
felt like my heart is expanding, and like
yeah,
I felt
good,
connected to other people.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's exactly what I want for you, and
Yeah.
that's
So,
great. That rocks.
yeah. What about
So
you? Yes.
I've got a few different things. I did a health and wellness open day as a yoga teacher. So I was invited along. Essentially, one of my,
you did some advertising for that, didn't you?
Oh,
on Instagram.
did I? I mean, it's definitely possible. It's definitely possible they tagged me in a flyer and I reposted it, but I cannot recall.
Okay.
And it was a thing where they were doing. It was in like a local school. Basically, one of my students in one of my classes asked if I wanted to take part in it, I should say, and they said this wee room for us. They didn't quite get the numbers they hoped, and like I had 3 sessions, 3 kind of yoga taster sessions, whatever that is, and like had 3 people for the first one. Second one, nobody turned up until like 10 minutes in, and then two old ladies turned up, and they were just like, I don't think we can get down the mats, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, let's just sit in some chairs and we can do some stuff in chairs.
Yeah.
And we did some chair yoga. And I was really kind of quite pleased with myself because like I don't really do chair yoga, but I'm like, I know enough about movements in the body that I can apply it to even to things even when seated. And they really seemed to enjoy it. And then nobody showed up for the last one, which again worked out brilliantly for me because I was just like, okay, I'm going home.
Don't have to talk to anybody.
Yep, perfect. I'm out of here. And so it was nice, and like there was a breathwork coach there. So I got chatting to the lady that did the breathwork stuff. She runs a studio and does Reiki and things like that. Mm-hmm. So I made a few new contacts and I got a few new ads onto my Instagram, which isn't my overall priority, but is a nice sort of, it's like, oh, okay, I got something there. I also, so we have this, and it's something I wanted to ask you about. We have this thing in the UK called St. John's Ambulance. And it is basically a volunteer organisation for, I'd say not healthcare professionals, but people who know first aid. And what you can then do is, I think they're a charitable organisation, you can then pay them money and they will send people down to like sports events and things like that maybe aren't fully funded, more like local community things. And you can get St. John's Ambulance there. So if there's injuries, they can treat basic injuries and stuff. And they were there and they were demonstrating CPR, the latest CPR techniques. I did my first aid course.
Good.
Years ago, not
Okay,
then.
okay.
I did it years ago, but I kind of got update because like they change CPR all the time.
They do.
So it's now like 30 compressions, 2 rescue breaths is the current setup. So it was just lovely doing that and like walked around and kind of checked out the stalls and stuff. So it was just a nice thing to be a part of, and it's another kind of demonstration to me. The doors that yoga's opening up to me, and kind of the path that it's taking me down, and making new connections from that, and so on. So it was a nice thing to be a part of.
So you stole my crack.
Mm-hmm.
You stole my crack.
Oh, did I?
Yoga.
Sorry.
Way to be original.
I know, what a jerk. It's so true. I'm such an asshole. Okay, I have others though. So,
Okay.
I cycled 30k yesterday, which is not bad, right?
Wow.
First time being out on my bike, geez, in at least 2, maybe 3 years. So I was pretty happy with that, in that
do you have a helmet?
Yes, I do.
Good.
I definitely, my legs were are still feeling it a little bit, but it was my ass and sitting on a bike seat for 30 kilometers was the big problem. I'd forgotten that, because whenever I was riding a lot, whenever I was working in Belfast and I cycled to work and back, I really got used to it, and it was no problems at all. But now it was just, that was the worst part about it. But it was just really nice. Sometimes I find I've definitely got more in shape as the years have went on, and I'm happy about that. But sometimes getting in shape in one discipline doesn't mean you're going to be good at another,
Totally.
right?
Yes.
And I don't do a ton of cardio, so I was really a little bit worried about completely cooking myself and being put off, but I handled it. I was really happy with how I handled it, and it was just made me keen to do more and potentially like go on, you know, cycling trips and things like that in the future.
Awesome.
So
My,
it was lovely. It was
my
really
mom
nice.
did a cycling trip in Alsace, France. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong.
No, that sounds Alsace or Alsace.
Alsace.
I think I'm not too sure, but I know what you're talking about.
So I before that I didn't know. I mean, cycling in here is, I don't know, like people wear, they spend money on this like biking gear, right? That has sponsors on it, but they're not actually being sponsored by anybody. They're paying the sponsor
Oh,
to
really?
wear it. Yeah.
That's
so it's
insane.
Like, it is. It is. So it's like it's a culture thing.
I do find that kind of fascinating. There was a thing I remember seeing, like, you know, this, you would see people in different cultures, different parts of the world, and they would, like, buy shirts, and the shirts would be covered in, like, patches and labels and stuff like that, and it was just felt really gaudy to me, and then it was expressed to me in a way where they were like, well, it feels like the more stuff that's on it, the better value we're getting out of it. And I'm like, okay, I completely understand that rationale. It's not for me, but I kind of, I have a way and I understand the thought process behind it now, you know. I thought that was very funny.
I don't even own a bike right now.
Do you like cycling, or did you cycle?
I mean, not like as a kid all the time.
Yeah.
And then like, yeah, Burning Man, I guess that would be your mode of transportation, unless you had an art car, which we did also. So I've done that, but like, there's so many hills in Oregon. It's like,
yeah,
and it's not like, you know, a like pleasant one. Sometimes you're going up like 500 feet and like, you know, not. It's really hilly. I hate hills.
Oh, okay.
Here I would really, like the kids are now riding bikes. Mike has a bike. My bike was a Burning Man bike, so it slowly rusted and then just fell apart. So I think I'm ready. I think my body is probably at a point where I can. So I'm totally interested. That's a really long answer. Sorry.
No, it's not, and I think it's good. I think it's good to like process it as well. But like, I think it's a good, you know, low impact. I mean, we did. Jeez, what was the name of the thing that we hiked whenever I was with you?
Oh, Mount Woodson.
Yeah, Mount Woodson. Like, we hiked Mount Woodson. I definitely think that would be a tougher challenge than, you know, riding the bike and stuff again. Because because it was my girlfriend who took me out the other day.
I was dying on Mount Woodson though. Do you remember I would walk 10 feet and then be like, I need to stop again?
Hey, no. You walked more than 10 feet. Thank you very much. So
it was only 104 out.
That was, even I find that, like, it wasn't an easy hike.
It was a fucking mountain, Andy. It was on accident.
We kicked its ass.
We did.
So yeah, and like, you know, as was pointed out to me, was that, like, you know, the great thing about cycling is that you can kind of like chill for a bit every now and again on a bike. You can just like let the wheel spin for a bit.
There's
and you can
like
take
some
a break,
downward dog in there.
Yep. Yes, absolutely. You know, in ways that you can't with, like, if you're running, it's like, motherfucker, you're moving the whole time, whether you like it or not, you know. But yeah. Okay, final one. So I've got loads. I just got racking them up here.
I love it.
I don't have, and I'll talk about this more next week. So I think I've probably mentioned this in the podcast before. Every year, me and a group of friends hire an Airbnb. We play board games for like 4 or 5 days straight. That's happening this weekend.
Yay.
I'm thrilled. I'm looking forward to it. Because it's getting to play board games has become rarer for me. It's one of the reasons why I want to free up some time, and having just a space that is just, this is what it's for, is beautiful. Like, I really struggle to like take down time if I'm at home, whereas I think if I am away from the house, I kind of can allow myself mentally in a way that I really struggle to otherwise. So I'm so excited for it. I'm so excited, and I think it's going to be a nice reset for me. I was talking in last week's episode about leaving the choir. You know, a few things have been changing, and I sometimes quite like to mark those changes in ways, like having like a border sort of, and this feels like
bookend.
Like bookend, yeah. And this feels like it might be it, and I'm very excited for it.
I love. I don't. We used to do something like this with my high school group of friends. Every New Year's, we'd rent a house and just get shit faced, and run amok around like some beach town. But yeah, my liver can't handle it anymore.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like you get to our age, and it's just like I don't think I want to do that anymore.
And like just the fact that you have like something that you do, that's an activity that at least you need part of your brain for the most part. And like you've explained it to me where like you cook and you get up early and you take walks, and it's just like it just sounds like a lovely way to spend a weekend with friends, and also like to mark the end of something and transitioning into having more of the life that you want to have.
Yes, very much so. Yeah. So
fun.
Right, so that's crack with me, or one of them's a piece of future crack, I guess. But do you have any what's occurring?
Not this week, no.
Okay, so I have an Andy's down with the streets. You'll be delighted to know.
Okay.
And the word that we have this week is Delulu.
Okay, yeah.
Do you know Delulu? I mean, like it's.
I do.
Okay,
only
I'm not gonna say anything.
Because like I put some of our like video shorts onto TikTok, and there are a lot of like TikTok. I don't know if it started on TikTok, but yes, I do know Delulu. I have one for you.
What is?
So it's people don't want to call other people like crazy anymore. That's not politically correct or delusional.
This is a great way.
This is a way that you can call someone crazy without calling them crazy. You say they're Delulu. Like delusional, loony, crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, what's fucking wild about it is it's exactly the same thing. It's exactly the same as calling somebody delusional. It's just softening the word to make it sound cutesy, but it's the same thing. Yes. It's the same intention.
Yes.
But it's the description I have here is someone who holds unrealistic or overly idealistic beliefs or fantasies, especially about their favorite celebrities or influencers.
Oh, interesting.
I think that's where it was first deployed by the sounds of things.
Yes.
But I just like it. It popped up somewhere for me recently, and I had heard it before, but it just tickled me. And there's a variety of reasons why I like some of these words, and this one in particular I like because it's fun to say. Right? It has a lovely mouthfeel.
Yes. Yes. Delulu. It sounds. It feels better with an Irish accent, I'll say.
That's probably.
There's more of a. There's more like you got the rolling lilt as opposed to like the flat American. Delulu.
That's a good point. Yeah, you're right. Actually, it does have a bit more rhythm. Yeah. Very interesting.
I have one for you that pissed Mike off. He was
like, okay.
Yeah. It was Smize.
Smize. Oh, I know Smize. Yeah. Because it's what he
Tyra Banks.
Yeah.
It's a thing that models use to like you smile with your eyes but not your mouth. Trying to smize right now.
Yeah, Beth and I are just trying to smize right now. I know this is good
really
podcasting content for you.
It's really hard, right? I know. So I don't think we're professional models, obviously.
No.
I can't smize. But yeah, he was just like, what the fuck? What the fuck is that? Like, people are fucking stupid. And I was like, this is like language shifts and changes. And I don't know. I'm sorry, Mr. Business.
I think I remember like seeing it at the time. Yeah, I mean years ago now when she first deployed it, and it was like, everything about that show seemed so fucking patronizing to the because it was America's Top Model, was it, or something like that, and so much of it felt so patronizing. I was just kind of like, oh, okay, but yeah, but like, it's like we were saying, in last week's episode, there are so these rule books about how to talk and how to hold your body and how to, you know, so who's to know that this friggin' stupid thing doesn't hold some power, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There was an episode in season 3 of The White Lotus where this lady smizes so well.
Ooh, is it?
It's Leslie Bibb.
Leslie Bibb, okay, yeah.
When they're having the conversation, the political conversation.
Yes.
And I was just like, that is the best smize I've ever seen. Like, what she did with her face, like, was amazing. Everyone should go watch this season. It's good. Yeah, I was impressed with her level of smize. And people kept asking her to redo it, and she's like, I can't. I don't know what my face did. Like, that was just, it came out of my character.
I love it.
Yeah.
No, yeah, watch White Lotus, folks. It's great. Okay. Shall we get into our episode for the week,
Yes.
which is appreciating art.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we like appreciating art?
Do we like art? What is art?
Do you like art? Do you like it? Do you appreciate it?
Yeah. So, I just kind of wanted to talk about, like, I guess museums that we've been to, because that opens up some different doors. Yeah, like what kind of art you like, what kind of art you don't like, art that's disappointed you when you've seen it in real life.
Yep.
I
mean, like for me, it's the absolute classic. It's the one that everybody's disappointed by, which is the Mona Lisa.
No, I was gonna say the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
You're like, that's it.
Yeah.
It was so little.
Yes, I think, and it's also so crowded. Like,
yeah,
but
you can't even get a picture. You're just like unless you're the Kardashians, and then they clear the room.
I remember though seeing. I believe the Venus de Milo is in the Louvre. I remember that being quite struck by that. And that's quite a famous one, you know. I remember like seeing that, and it really kind of blew me away. I thought, and it's so interesting because I think, you know, whenever it was years since I've been there. I mean, like, it's so long. I think it might even be the guts of 25 years since I've been there, and I remember finding the sculpture wing way more evocative, and I felt such a stronger connection to that than the painting wing for in my taste. I didn't. Like, you've been there before.
Yes.
And it's hard to, like, express just how massive place is.
We're talking about the Louvre in Paris.
In Paris, yes. Which is probably one of the world's most famous...
I think so.
Museums, like, artistic museums. But, like, there are multiple wings, and each one of those wings is probably about the size of an average museum in other parts of the world, I would say. And like, a lot of those... was, again, certainly the time that I was there were, you know, specialised in certain things. So there was a sculpture wing, there was a painting wing, and there was like some modern art, and I can't even remember the other kind of categories, but it's just a staggering building. There's so much going on there.
Yeah. I would say the closest thing I've been to would be the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City, where it's just like,
it's amazing.
There's so much stuff that you can't see it all. And also, like, my sister is an archivist, archivist, and deals with art. So there's a lot that's like they have, but it's not on display, kind of thing. So I'm just like, what's behind that door? I want to see it all, but you can't. You know what? So I have a question for you. There are two types of people, or maybe three. There's the person that walks through the museum as quickly as possible, and like just zeroes in on the things that are interesting, that they think are interesting. They're the people that read every placard on the wall, or they're the people that do the audio tour. Which are you?
So probably, I read most of the placards on the walls, I would say, but I think that it really depends. Sometimes I'm just like not feeling it. I'm just like, I can't be bothered with this. But I I'm kind of waiting to be struck by something, like, and it has happened occasionally, and it's as I was putting this together, I was like, shit, I wish I could remember some examples of things that really struck me. I struggle to. I have remembered one, and it's as we mentioned the MoMA there, and I remembered it was there, like seeing it, really kind of struck me. So like, because I feel like if you go around and you're reading all the descriptions, it can be quite laborious, and I feel like I get tired of that after a while. And what I tend to do is just kind of like, I don't really kind of rush through, but I just kind of stroll through and I see what kind of grabs me, and then I'll maybe spend a bit more time looking at it, is how I would experience museums, I think. What about you?
I probably read like half the placards. I don't ever do. My mom does the audio tours. It drives me crazy. It's like I cannot be in here for 5 hours. But I also recognize that I'm not learning as much as I could or appreciating as much as I could because I don't have all the information. But I'm kind of like if I walk in a room and I'm like, okay, there's 50 paintings of sad Jesus, like I get it kind of thing. And I'll kind of like speed through that and find, the interesting thing, like where are the mummies? I also, I think... Yeah, there are different types of art. I would say sculpture is definitely up there for me. There are paintings I love. I was just in New York not too long ago. I guess it was last year. It was a while ago. 6 months? Doesn't matter, Beth.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, but I walked into the room, one of the rooms of the Met, and there's this big painting. It's called Washington Crossing the Delaware.
Yes.
Did I mention this already?
I don't know if we have. Maybe we have, but I know this painting you're talking about anyway.
I didn't know how big it is. It's so big. It takes up like the entire wall of like this huge wing. It's huge.
Okay.
It's the biggest painting I've ever seen, basically. And it's just like, you see something so much and then you see it in real life. And like oftentimes it's like, the painting is maybe like 8.5 by 11, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay, well, but Washington on the Delaware, right?
It's fucking massive.
It's so fucking big.
It's in the Museum of Modern Art, is it? Or where is it?
It's
because I think I've seen it. I think because I was there. Jeez, 5 or 6 years ago anyway. So it probably was there at the time.
But it's just like walking through, and it took my breath away. I was like, oh my God. I was like, Mom, come here, you have to see this. And she was like, ugh.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of, it's such a massive painting. You've got to like stand back and like look at all the different parts too.
And the detail's like incredible, isn't it? If I recall correctly, it's just, for considering how big a piece of art it is, it's just really staggering.
Yeah.
The two kind of pieces that really kind of spring to mind, and they were definitely two I encountered, because I was looking up and I was trying to remember what they were, and they were both in the Museum of Modern Art, and I suppose they're both kind of like resonant for me because they are fairly recent, so they've stayed in my mind a bit more. But it was Starry Night by Van Gogh. I remember seeing it and just being like mesmerized and just really kind of like spending some time with it. And Sunflowers as well by Monet, which I and it was one that I was really not. I think Starry Night, it's not. It doesn't have. I was gonna say it has a wow factor. It doesn't, but it feels more, powerful. It feels like it's more expressive. It feels like it's just, it's much more evocative. Whereas Sunflowers, I didn't really think would have that sort of factor, but I really found it really mesmerizing as well.
Is Sunflowers the one that actually has like paper lifted off of it?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I'll have to, I'll look it up on.
Yeah, too. But there's just something, really kind of beautiful about it. I thought.
Was it? I guess I just like big and lots. I'm such an American, right? It's like such big. Come from Costco. Yeah.
Big. Yeah.
So, you know what I really love though? I was like going through my list of like museums, and I like the weird ones.
Yes.
I like the weird ones. So like the Luchador Museum that we both went to in Tijuana, like that's my jam. That counts to me as like art and a medium, right?
Yeah.
There's this other one. It's no longer there, but in Portland, when I was growing up, I'd like take the bus to downtown Portland, and we'd always go. It's called the 24-Hour Church of Elvis.
Nice.
And this lady created it, and basically she made this like exterior window. I'm going to read this. At the suggestion of two high school students featuring the 24-Hour Church of Elvis. For a quarter, visitors could hear a sermon by Elvis, confess their sins, receive the Elvis catechism, or get a photo with the king of rock and roll. She also offered Elvis-themed wedding services, including legal weddings for $25, novelty weddings for $5, and coin-operated weddings for $1. So it was just this like wall of Elvis.
What? And were there people pretending to be it? Well, I need more.
It was basically like an arcade on a wall.
I see.
And you could make an appointment if she was there and felt like it. You could get legally married, but usually, like if you're getting legally married, you want to like let her know ahead of time. But she would officiate.
Sure.
She would officiate the wedding, or she would have her friend Elvis dress up. She was obsessed with Elvis. I remember I non-bindingly married my best friend, and like in a vending machine, and we got ring pops and a condom that popped out.
Yeah.
And it was just like
complete package.
It was totally, and it was like there were like dioramas and like lights, and it was just like the craziest Elvis museum I've ever seen. And it had like paraphernalia about Elvis, and it was just like one of those cool parts of Portland that like eventually went the way of the dodo bird, but it was like one of my favorite museums. And like also just naming it the 24-Hour Church of Elvis, like it's pretty fucking awesome.
Absolutely incredible.
So things that to add to the list of like, oh, I wish I could have showed Andy something that existed long ago. That would be on.
Yeah, I would have. Like, I mean, that is absolutely my jam. Like, you know. Yeah, I'm like I so struggle to like. I mean, I fucking love museums. I really do, and but I always struggle to remember like specific stuff, and like because I'm pretty certain I went to a Salvador Dali museum.
Oh, I love that. I'm
trying to remember where that was.
That's in Paris. I feel like I went to that too. There's one in
St. Petersburg, Florida. I feel like there's another one.
Or maybe it was just an exhibit. No, I feel like there was a Dali museum when I was there. I love Dali.
Yes, I'm so struggling to remember. This is great content. Where that was? I feel like it was Spain or somewhere like that, or I can't remember.
That might
but
be
like
right.
I just remember it being such a cool
yeah.
sort of building and just sort of drinking it in. But like I think that like what has worked for me, well, I wanted to speak a little bit about what art is to an extent. Obviously, even going to the Comic-Con museum was important to me because like comic books are important to me, and I feel like they are such a maligned art form. Like I really kind of love these sort of subgenres that are kind of diminished. Like it's something that I really adore and love, and it's really kind of connected to comics as well, is that like a lot of like really kind of pulpy novels and pulpy comic books had these beautiful painted covers that were really kind of evocative, and there was kind of a bit lurid at times, but there was just nothing else like them. They were really punchy and vibrant, and they always kind of like spoke to me in a real meaningful way. I mean, it's what I kind of loved as a kid. It's what still has meaning to me now, and it's like it's what leads me to buy, like whenever Beth was spending some time with me last year, she was here staying, and I showed her there's a couple of different artists that I love, comic book artists. There's a guy called Darwin Cook, and there's a guy called Chris Samney, and I feel like their styles are so evocative of that like sort of like pulpy action heroes. So think like The Shadow. Think
film noir kind of.
Film noir.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, as The Shadow and like the Phantom and things like that. Those sorts of like, you know, Urtex sort of superheroes, the guys that kind of like came before, you know, your Captain America's, your Superman, your Batman, and things like that. You know, kind of real kind of square jawed, thick lined sort of, you know, and that stuff has always really spoken to me. The book I specifically showed Beth was this Darwin Cook book. He had done these comics based on a character called Parker. There have been a number of different films made about Parker. There's a ton of books and things like written about him. He's basically this hard boiled criminal. But these books came oversized. They came on this like yellow stock paper. Each a story had a color. So like one of the colors was blue, so it was like a kind of like a more subdued story. One of them was red, you know, which was more intense, and it was using, you know, much broader sort of like ways to express that text, but like I still find them deeply effective. It's still something that I go back to again and again. It's still stuff that I find new meaning in again and again, you know, and like I think as much as I will never stop loving spending time in galleries, going to museums, seeing new things, the art that has the most meaning for me probably is those comics and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And I'm still so sad that the Comic-Con Museum had a giant Betty Boop exhibition. And I was like, no, because I was down there like 2 months before and it was like all Marvel and I was so upset. Anyways, we'll try again another time. But
it's fine, yeah.
Yeah, I love that comics have come so far in our culture in terms of like acceptability and, you know, people really realize it being an art form and, you know, it's cool. You can be an adult and like buy the, you know, the box set of this. I think that you showed me that because I was like, if you were ever going to get a tattoo, what would it be? And you were like, oh, it's from this specific.
Oh,
yeah.
Something from Hellboy for sure was what I had thought about in the past, and I almost certainly would have. And like honestly, I don't know that I would have regretted that tattoo, but like I think probably what I wouldn't have loved is like having to explain it to people all the time, and then just that look of befuddlement. You know, that's you know, but like. I mean, you know, never say never, right? I absolutely know people who really got into tattoos and they're like, you know, 60s and 70s, so, you know, there's still time.
There is time. I was 40 when I got my first tattoo. It's cool.
Love it.
So I took your advice and I went to the Academy of Motion Pictures Museum.
Ooh,
Did I tell
loved
you?
it.
Oh my God. I loved it so much. So we're going to Universal beginning of June. Not to brag, but we're getting the back lot tour.
Yes.
Mike's like, don't even ask how much. I was like, okay. But we get a tour guide and we get to go like behind the scenes. And then they're going to be like, oh, do you have screenplays? And I'll be like, I do. And they'll be like, oh, we're going to make them into a movie. It'll be just like in the studio.
Perfect.
So I love movies so fucking much.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Going to the Academy Museum, seeing the ruby red slippers, of which there are only 4 in the world. And I remember reading, I don't know, I'm off track right now, but I remember reading like a couple years ago that someone had stolen the ruby red slippers from somewhere, one of the pairs, and like, I don't know, like 20 years ago, and then returned, like 2003, and just returned them, like 3 years ago, and they arrested this person, and like they were worth, this pair of shoes, $32.5 million.
No.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So I'm
crazy.
pretty sure that Spielberg and DiCaprio bought the shoes and donated them to the Academy Museum. So I think I saw the stolen ones. I'm not sure, but I'm making it real in my head. But the guy died before he was found convicted.
Wow.
I know. So he got away with it. But who steals shoes just for themselves?
It's true. I wonder whether people who
is so obsessed with the Wizard of Oz.
I know
that they steal $32 million shoes. Priceless.
You forget how colossal that movie was, and how
that's true. I mean,
how it just changed cinema altogether. Yeah, that's really fast. I mean, and I suppose maybe people just don't think these things through. They're like, oh, I'll steal them and I'll sell them for loads of money. But then you realize once you sell something like that, it's all going to come back to you, because there's not, there's no way to sell that and just be, you'll,
anonymous.
Yes, it's something very famous that is stolen. Yeah, that's. Did you see? So you saw Bruce the Shark? Was he there?
I saw he was there. Bruce the Shark was there. They had.
What was the? Sorry, go on.
No, they had like a zoetrope.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Which I there's an artist that does these zoetropes at Burning Man that are like huge, and you have to like operate them by like pedaling on a bike. The one at the Academy Museum was amazing. It was really cool. So
I remember, really liking that. What was the special exhibit on the top floor?
They had a special exhibit at the top floor. They were doing like Matrix and like
cool.
Tech. There's a I can't remember. There's like a genre for those types of movies, and I can't remember what it is. So
that makes sense. Yep. Okay, that sounds cool.
Yeah. So it was awesome. We're gonna go back in June because I loved it so much, and like there was a whole. We didn't even get to the bottom floor because we didn't have time, but it was amazing.
Like, I am always really enamored by model work, and like some of the models that they had there, like from some sci-fi movies, were so fucking cool. Yeah. Like, I was just spending so long poring over them. It was just incredible.
Yeah, and they actually show movies there too, so you can actually.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, so they have like a whole, like these are the movies we're showing today, tomorrow, and I would be like, if I lived there, I would just like be there. I think all the time.
I was really disappointed that the gift shop didn't have any more rad. There was some fun stuff, but there was nothing that was really like, oh wow, this is cool. I was expecting some really kind of cool merch that I could pick up, but no, sadly no.
No, yeah. And then LACMA was like half of it's one of the bigger museums, but they had closed like half of it. But I did see the Warhol's tomato soup, Campbell's soup can, which is one of my favorites.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one. I think pop art is, because I think that was probably my way in, because like I don't think I would have ever, I mean, like, I would have went to like natural history museums as a kid and been interested in seeing like dinosaur models and shit like that, but like I wasn't super interested in looking at art. But I think pop art, so like Andy Warhol, and for me, Roy Lichtenstein, who did a lot of the sort of comic book pop art stuff, which really kind of drew me in. I've got a piece of like one of his prints on my wall.
I remember that.
So I really, that was a really great one for me.
I think Salvador Dali was my way in. Mm-hmm. Like getting high and like looking at Salvador Dali paintings.
I love it.
Because I had the book of all of his work, and I would just be like, oh my god, like trip out, be like, why is there a lobster on the telephone? Like, amazing.
I think that I think sort of this stuff as well is really kind of good at stoking the imagination, and I think maybe when I was younger I would have been like, what is this nonsense?
Yeah.
But I have found that you can be good for sparking creativity. It can be good for a variety of different things.
We went to the Griffiths Observatory.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to be like back in Los Angeles when I was there. And there's this like giant. It's called the Foucault pendulum. Did you go up there?
Where is it again? I think I have seen that.
It's like it's the observatory on the hill. They that's where like Rebel Without a Cause was filmed, and a lot of La La Land was filmed up there.
Oh yeah.
It's up by a Hollywood sign.
I don't think I have seen. I'm aware of what you're talking about, but I don't think I've seen.
So it's like they have like two big telescopes, and you could like that day we were looking at the sun actually, and you could see like
Mm-hmm.
it was pretty cool. Anyways, they have this huge pendulum. It takes up like the whole like interior of the entrance. So it's been there since 1935. It's one of the largest devices in the world, and it actually shows you the Earth's rotation. So it moves.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I just tapped the mic. It moves because the Earth is moving, essentially. So
I
it's
see.
suspended by a 40-foot cable. It swings in a constant direction while the Earth turns beneath it. So the pendulum is mounted to the ceiling, and the ceiling doesn't turn. It's the Earth that's rotating. And what it does is it knocks over these little magnets. So you'll wait, and it's like every 10 minutes, like it'll knock over one of the other magnets, and then it'll reset them all. It's cool. It's cool. I don't know. So it was just
That's
neat.
cool.
It's like, oh, okay. I was going to be a flat earther, but not today, I guess.
This dissuaded you finally. One last piece of evidence. Took the evidence.
So like sciencey museums, that I mean, it's science, but it's also a beautiful piece of art, right?
I agree, and I think that those things can be married, quite easily. It's, something I wanted to talk about as well was, the idea of interactive art. I mean, I think that, anything that kind of stokes the imagination, and I think it's probably going to be easy for both of us to, like, connect this to the things that we love, the same way I was talking about comic books and things like that, But I think there is absolutely value there as well in terms of, like, where you do find the art in things, do you know what I mean? And where you find that something that you find a connection with. I was trying to remember as we were talking, there was I was able to do a search and I was able to bring up information on it. So basically, it was in 2019. There is a museum in Belfast called the Ulster Museum. It's pretty great. I think for a free museum, it's pretty great in terms of it. It's had its ups and downs, but it has some really interesting information on history of Ulster, the Troubles and things like that, but also some cool stuff, like basically there was like a Spanish galleon that sunk off our coast, and some really interesting, bits and pieces are surrounding that. But they get in a lot of like touring exhibitions. And in 2019, they had, it was called Leonardo da Vinci, A Life in Drawing.
Ooh.
And it had Da Vinci sketches and things like that.
I just saw this. Where was I? I think
so cool.
It was travel. It was a traveling exhibit.
It was.
Yeah, I saw it too. Well, I just saw it last year.
It's
so cute. Did you see the like? Did they have the lion, the walking lion?
Yes, I think
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he all these different flying contraptions.
Yeah.
And the drawings of like
I like sketches of wings and things like that. And,
we did just where was that? This is such good content. Sorry, it doesn't matter. I saw it too, and it was really good. So and like just because the kids are like learning about Leonardo da Vinci and I'm sorry, please don't scream at me, everyone. He painted the Mona Lisa too, right?
I don't. I think you're right.
Okay, so just the fact that he would like create all these flying machines, like robots that walk, that paint the Mona Lisa, which could have been bigger. Sorry.
Could have been. Get your shit together.
Yeah, I know. Bigger's better. What an amazing human being. Hopefully, he wasn't
very much so. Yeah, I mean, like, probably, the chances are probably not good. The odds are probably not in his favour.
I know.
But, not too much of a creep. Hopefully fairly chill. I would say he was probably a fucking nerd if he was doing all that shit. I think he's probably spending most of his time in his lab, stenciling, noodling. So probably not too much time to be a creep, I hope.
Yep.
But I'm sure somebody will come along. No, I've read this book. He was a monster. It's like, cool, man. It's like you find out these things sometimes and you're like, oh, Jesus, really? So, like, I found out that recently that apparently a lot of the animators for the old, like, Disney films, which are, for their time, super wholesome, family friendly stuff. They basically built this entire village so their mistresses could all kind of like live there, so they could all visit their mistress. Yeah.
Wow, that's something out of like an Olivia Wilde movie.
It is, yes, very much so. So yeah, and you're just kind of like, wow. And I mean, like, I suppose,
Oh
yeah, I'm not,
man.
certainly not making allowances for that, but like, I suppose if they're like spending their days, looking at a page, and making a tiny change to the next page, it will send you insane. So
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so that was fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, do you have any other bits and pieces? I suppose. Sorry, yes, go on. Do you have any other bits and pieces you want to talk about for this on this subject?
You know, I just like I like. We went on the what was the tour that I took you on the big aircraft carrier? That name I can't remember.
Oh, shit. I don't remember either.
Anyways, it was a huge
yep.
aircraft carrier, and like as we're walking through it, you can tour the whole thing. They have my favorite genre of painting, which is ships and like really like older ships in trouble.
Yes.
On fire. Hard to find. I had to paint my own to get one up on my wall, but it's the Midway. The Midway has those all over the place. So that museum and that type of art is like, I love it so much. And this is really macabre because that's just who I am. The Tower of London, like all the torture rooms, that's still art. So
I mean, yeah.
I loved it. I was like, ooh, I get to see the Iron Maiden.
I suppose that's true. Yeah. And I suppose, like, it's also a good question, like, is anything art if it's displayed in a museum?
Yeah, I think I think everything is art, basically.
Time plus rarity equals art, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. But that was one of my best days in London.
Yeah, I love it.
Like, oh, people died here. Ooh, yay.
On the Lonely Island podcast, they keep, every time we talk about London, they call it Foggy London Town. Which I always just... That makes me chuckle every time. Anyway, that's another podcast. But, only listen to it once you've listened to all of ours.
Right.
Like, I suppose, it's something I think about a lot in terms of, like, the stuff that I ingest in the air, I'm a big video game fan. I am a comic book fan, obviously. I think there's so much interesting art in the video game world. I think that it is not as seen as certain other things. I think it's, maybe not as lauded as perhaps more traditional forms of art. I think there's some really kind of cool stuff happening there. And I think it's kind of hard to, like, unless you're actually in the scene or interested in it, it's hard to kind of, like, get that out there as well, One of my, like, all-time favorite museum experiences was this traveling video game one that was basically old consoles, like, neat kind of controllers. So there's this a controller for one of the older consoles, probably like a Super Nintendo or something, but it was essentially like a train controller, and you could be a train driver, and you had a full, like, the kind of like lever that goes back and forth and buttons and things like that, and they just had loads of like oddities and shit like that. And it was just, for me, who has grown up with that and been so passionate about it my whole life, was so kind of meaningful to me. And it's still something that obviously because of the nature of that exhibit, it was a lot of things you could play as well. So it was a great fun day of seeing all this cool shit we'd never seen before, and getting to play the games. But like, I think that's what's so interesting about art generally, is that stuff that is happening right now, that we're experiencing right now, that we kind of probably take for granted and maybe gets backgrounded, hopefully will have a lot more meaning in the future, will come to maybe as the start of a trend, the start of a movement, So Yeah, I think there's like lots of exciting art that can be found everywhere.
I agree. And I think, it's easy to sort of hone in on the most famous pieces, and they're cool to see, but I would say it's like, find your 24-hour Church of Elvis. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that's the message we want to send you away with today, folks, is find your 24-hour Church of Elvis. That's the important lesson for all of us to learn. Love it. Okay. Shall we get on to the last section of our episode, which is what's been bringing you joy this week?
I had to write this down, and I forgot.
Okay.
What did I write down? Oh, I learned to tie-dye.
Oh, nice.
I know.
Okay.
So I had to do it for one of the kids' classes, and now I'm a pro because I did like 30 t-shirts.
Okay. I definitely want to tie a Beth Martin tie-dye.
Yeah, I will. So next time we hang out, I will teach you how.
Perfect. I love it. That's exciting.
So any tees that you have that are like, you're like, I still love it, but there's a stain, and it's white.
Let's
tie-dye the shit out of it.
That mother.
Yeah,
okay.
It's actually really fun, and it's like I have dreadlocks, but I don't wear tie-dye because I don't want to be like the stereotypical hippie. And now I'm over it. I think I want to wear everything tie-dyed.
Fuck yeah,
it's so fucking fun. I know. I'm just gonna get some Birkenstocks and.
Fuck, that's exactly what I was thinking. I love it. Fuck
corduroy shorts.
Uh-huh.
Start following the dead.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's brought me joy.
That's a good one. So because I was talking about video games there, I've been playing a video game called Alan Wake 2 that I've been meaning to play for ages. It's been out for a couple of years now, and I've been really looking forward to it. There's a particular reason why I wanted to bring it up, because it's relevant to something that we talk about a lot, but it's essentially, it's a sequel to a game that first came out, I think about 15 years ago, and it's about a writer, and basically he writes these horror books, and they kind of come to life in kind of interesting and odd ways, and it's about this kind of, but it's like very meta, like he's both writing these books and he's living in this world that the books have created. There's another character in the game who may be a product of his imagination or may be a real person of themselves. Mm-hmm. And it seems like, and I'm really just I'm just starting to get into it, it's very much about, the overarching theme is very much about how difficult it is to be creative and to do creative things in the world that we're living in these days, which I think is such an interesting thing to talk about, so it's really, really cool, and it is genuinely funny and weird. It's it's got real sort of like Twin Peaks sort of vibes.
Okay.
Like there's a lot of coffee being drunk, you're in like a weird sort of Midwestern town. It's really neat. However, at any point, so like games do these things in certain ways. One of the characters you're playing is a detective, and you've got clues. So, and ordinarily you'd go in and you'd maybe like, you would just get a clue and it would just give you a list. This is what you've learned, blah, blah, blah. In this game, you can hit a button, you go into your mind palace.
Really?
Yeah, right? Yeah. They call it the mind place, and you're basically in this lodge, and you can like pin photographs on the wall and try to like figure out what's happening with the case. It's really freaking cool. So just as soon as I saw the mind place appear, I was like, yes, I need to talk about this.
It exists outside our minds.
It does. So it was lovely to see that in a game, but it's been it's been really fun so far, and just a really kind of like unsettling but cool world to spend some time in.
Very good. I love it.
There you go. Okay, folks.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of. That's all I have.
I have been, and I'm a little concerned. Very farty for this past episode. My hope is that the microphone has not picked up the farts. So.
I haven't heard you fart. I'm disappointed. Huh? I have not heard you fart at all.
Okay. Well, that'll be a little Easter egg for all our fans at home if you want to go back and re-listen to this episode. And try to timestamp all the time that I farted. Anyway. Farty. All right, Beth.
Yeah. Sorry.
Beth, can you tell everybody where they can find us?
Find us at bendypodcast.com. And thank you to the folks that are leaving us 5 stars on Spotify.
Yeah,
And
please.
if you haven't done that, maybe do that.
Yeah, do it like right now.
Right now.
Flip's it.
It's that
Thank you.
Mel Robbins thing where you do the count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and you do the thing. So that's what you what you need to do.
We talked about that recently, actually. Yeah, it's a great system.
It worked for me the other day. Sorry, I'm gonna stop talking now. Stop.
Some good tangents. All right, folks. Then, as always, we'd like to remind you to stay bendy.
Did you just burp twice? 3 times?
Yeah, I had it like the wind's coming out both ends this week. It's terrible. All right. We love you. Bye.
Bye.